And very happy Friday to you at 12:08 in the West. Talk Radio 790 KABC, the John Phillips Show. Mr. Randy Wings in Culver City.
Yet another fire has broken out. This time it's the Archer Fire in Granada Hills. There are mandatory evacuations in place near the 5 and the 118. It's up to 315 acres. Hopefully they can knock this one down real quick. Meanwhile, the Palisades Fire is at 8% containment, 20,438 acres, 5,000 structures destroyed. The Eden Fire, 3% containment, 13,000 acres, 5,000 structures destroyed. They were able to make sure no structures got damaged in the Kenneth Fire, the one on the 101 freeway. That's at 35% containment with 1,000 acres. The Hearst Fire in Sylmar is down to 771 acres, 37% containment. But, of course, we're not out of the woods anytime soon, and apparently the winds start back up again on Monday.
And we also have confirmation from the Los Angeles Times that the reservoir in Pacific Palisades was indeed bone dry at the time of the fires. It was completely empty. President Joe Biden is also making the claim, although he's not revealing the source, that the LA Department of Water and Power shut the power off in the Pacific Palisades at the time that firefighters were attempting to fight the fire, and that's the reason they had no access to water to fight the fire with.
Nobody can give a clear answer on this, and with as many people as were on stage last night, I'm shocked that not one of them had an answer for this. John, you want to know everything that's wrong with the fire response in L.A. County? Let me just play you the beginning of yesterday's press conference at 5 p.m. that I took live on the News Blitz as the deputy mayor gives the lineup of speakers who are going to talk at this press conference, and see if you can spot what's wrong with this. Ready?
I'm ready.
My name is Zach Seidel. I'm Deputy Mayor Communications for Mayor Bass. We're going to start with a brief update on the Kenneth Fire. We're going to hear from Mayor Bass as well as Chief Crowley of LAFD. Following that, Mayor Bass will come back to the podium and provide remarks. We'll hear from FEMA Administrator Deanne Criswell, Senator Adam Schiff, Supervisor Lindsay Horvath, Sheriff Robert Luna, County Fire Chief Deputy John O'Brien, Fire Chief Crowley, PD Chief Jim McDonnell, followed by Superintendent Alberto Carvalho. As always, we appreciate people signing up for notifications at Notify LA. We are also joined by leaders throughout the state and federal government. We're joined by FEMA Regional Administrator Bob Fenton, Congresswoman Luz Rivas, Congressman George Whitesides, Congressman Brad Sherman, Congresswoman Laura Friedman, Congresswoman Judy Chu, Congressman Jimmy Gomez, Congressman Ted Lieu, also Assemblymember Rick Zabur, Assemblymember Mark Gonzalez, Assemblymember Jessica Caloza, Assemblymember Celeste Rodriguez, as well as Assemblymember John Harabian. We're also joined by Mayor of Santa Monica, Lana Negretti. Thank you so much, and Mayor Bass, I'll pass it off to you.
I think the room was over capacity.
They all want time on TV for whatever reason to be part of this debacle, and the fire chief went how many deep on the list?
They let the city fire chief go briefly in the beginning because there was a brand new fire at the time. That was the Kenneth Fire. But then we needed nonstop speakers that had nothing important to say, and a whole bunch of members of Congress, state senators, and assembly members just standing there because they want to be a part of this horrific response.
Well, I can tell you this. The fact that they're not starting with the fire chief tells you they don't respect her. They don't regard her as relevant. They don't regard her as being in charge of the response. And because of that, she's not going first. Okay, maybe the mayor goes first and then the fire chief goes second. But you don't have this litany of politicians before you hear from the person who's in theory most relevant.
And, of course, why have that when you can have Adam Schiff say nothing important?
We also, I think, have to be mindful of the risks that will follow these fires, and that is when the rains come and the risk of mudslides. So
no bleep, Sherlock.
I'll tell you, this is the level of their competence. People are saying that they're surprised at how they reacted to this. I'm not. This is pretty much what we should expect. Everything that they've demonstrated so far suggests this is about where they have the ability to perform. You know, when you're a school teacher and you're on probation and you want your tenure so they can't get rid of you unless you're caught molesting someone, how they define competent is the level at which you were performing when they gave you tenure. So if you want to fire a teacher for being a bad teacher, you don't have to prove that they're a bad teacher. That's not the marker. You have to prove that they're performing far below where they were performing when you gave them tenure, because that's the definition of competence, how they were performing when you said, okay, you can get off probation. This is their level of competence. What they're doing right now, making sure that there was no water in the reservoir so the firefighters couldn't fight the fires. And then last night, that debacle with the text messages where they told everyone in LA County they were being evacuated not once, not twice, but thrice.
It was ridiculous. Between 4 and 5 o'clock, my phone got 3 different emergency alerts with the loud beeping noise. One of them saying, evacuate now, except the new fire was about 25 miles from my house, so I was pretty shocked about that. Then I got another one that said, evacuate now. Then I got another one that said, never mind, our bad.
And here's what's scary. The fact that everyone just ignored them, which is what I think most people would do, is really dangerous if you're the county and you need legitimacy during an emergency. If you're the county and you tell people it's time to get out of Dodge, if they don't listen to you and you really mean it, that could be a matter of life and death. But these people are so full of it and so bad at their job, when they say something to you, if the assumption is they screwed it up, you're just going to ignore them.
Well, and then there are so many different answers for how this happened and why this happened. Last night, they claimed that, it was some kind of mistake and we accidentally hit the wrong button. And then this morning, the Office of Emergency Services Director Kevin McGowan says there is no human that was responsible for the error.
Well, then who was responsible?
Apparently robots.
Ma Bell?
It has been such a nightmare that even Catherine Barger went off on the BS response from the Office of Emergency Director, because he said when you get the alert, go to the website to make sure it's real.
I think that's absolutely ridiculous, and I told Kevin McGowan that. To tell people to go on a website when they may not have access to an internet is absolutely absurd, and that is, quite frankly, not something that I am recommending. Obviously,
first one of the year.
I'll tell you, she's the most competent person in county government by far.
The fact that she's the chair right now is a little bit of saving grace, because it could have been Horvath.
And it's 4-on-1 on just about every subject. Every once in a while, Janice Hahn plays footsie with Sanity, but not always. You can't always count on her. But if you're Catherine Barger, you have to be pulling your hair out right now, because the rest of them just want to thank each other for their leadership. I'll tell you, this is about as bad as it gets. And it's bad on a subject that is really serious. When you're talking about being bad on certain subjects, it's annoying, but it's not necessarily a matter of life and death. If they screw up the budget and taxes go up, we don't like to pay more taxes, especially if they screw up the budget, and that's the reason that they need more money from us. But we're kind of used to it. For whatever reason, in California, we're a one-party state. Democrats get to make all the decisions, and they're very tolerant of bad government. Why? I don't know, because we pay a fortune to live here, but they're extremely tolerant of it. And if they're tolerant of it, then there are no consequences for bad government. But when there's a fire and bad government provides a totally ridiculous response to it, your house might burn down. Your kid's school might burn down. The infrastructure in your neighborhood might burn down. Your animals might burn down. You might burn down. And their attitude is, well, let's just thank each other for our leadership and Ask for a mulligan.
There's no leadership when between the Eaton fire and the Palisades fire, 10,000 structures have been destroyed.
No, and here's the other shoe that's going to drop. And this is just my pure speculation, but I bet you anything I'm right. Once it's all said and done, once they put the fires out, once we're out of fire season, once you get to go back to your neighborhood and survey the damage, they're going to offer you no help in terms of rebuilding. It's not like they're going to fast track all the permits. It's not like they're going to wring the neck of the Coastal Commission and you're going to be able to rebuild your house lickety-split. You're just going to begin the nightmare because you're going to have to go through them for everything, and you're going to have to fork over whatever money the insurance company gives you, assuming your insurance company stays in business, and a significant portion of it is going to go to the permit process. The cost of rebuilding is going to spike astronomically because everyone is going to be in need of a contractor right now, and we don't have the personnel to rebuild an entire area, entire portion of Los Angeles all at the same time. And here's what I think will also happen, and I bet you I'm right about this. Save this tape. If you're someone who lives in one of these affected areas, save this tape, because I bet you a year or 2 years or 3 years from now, it's going to sound prophetic. I bet you what Sacramento is going to do, or what the locals are going to do, is they're going to change the zoning of Pacific Palisades. Because right now, Pacific Palisades is an area that's rich with single-family homes. The minute you say, well, when we rebuild, density is our friend. We want people to take the MTA. We want people to live on top of one another. Let's go ahead and allow apartments to be built in Pacific Palisades. And guess what? They can turn that into Venice Part 2. They can turn it into Santa Monica. And they can put apartment buildings and condo buildings as far as the eye can see. And they can bring in the buses, and they can bring in the trains, and they can bring in all the public transit that's not safe to ride and say, all right, this is what we're going to do. Because if the developers get the green light to go in there and start building apartment buildings, the amount of money that they can make is in the stratosphere somewhere. They would love the ability to turn that into the next Santa Monica. And I'm sure Sacramento would love to give that to them. Because when you think about who matters with state government, with county government, with city government, it's the unions, of course. The unions certainly get whatever they ask for. But it's also the developers. The developers write lots of checks, and they throw around a lot of money. And people pay attention to what they have to say. And if all of a sudden they see a new part of coastal Los Angeles that had previously been off limits for them, and suddenly it's anything goes, man, we're back to the Wild West. And if you're a single-family homeowner in that area, you're just out of luck. And they know how to do these things because this is what they do professionally. They have teams of lawyers. They have people who do government relations. They know how to get what they want. The minute you start trying to rebuild your own house and you realize what kind of nightmare it's going to be, and you got a developer who's standing there with a check in hand, it's going to be real easy to sell what you once had to someone else and move to a different part of California or a different part of the country. But then single-family homeowners lose an entire portion of Los Angeles. And that portion of L.A. is going to look like so many portions of L.A. right now. And we know what happens when density goes up and they expect you to ride the MTA. They don't require any parking anymore. Who needs parking? We want you to take the bus. They don't create more lanes of road. No, we create road diets because we want you to take the bus. They're going to change the entire character of that neighborhood. And I'll tell you why I think they're going to do that. Because that's what they did in Maui. When that fire hit in Maui and all those single-family homeowners lost their homes, guess who was waiting with bated breath to come in and take it? The developers. So I wouldn't be a bit surprised if that's what we ended up with in Pacific Palisades. All right, we got a lot to get to, including, by the way, I want to take some calls at 800-222-5222, 1-800-222-5222. When you got those erroneous messages yesterday from the county government in Los Angeles telling you to evacuate, did you start packing up your car? Did you start evacuating? Or did you assume they're dum-dums and just ignore it? 800-222-5222, 1-800-222-5222. If you'd like to email the show, you can do so at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. That's johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. And Randy, if you want to listen to us all weekend long, that's easy to do.
If you're listening to repeats of this fire coverage, you have issues. However, if you want to listen to episodes that are about Shang Tao or Katie Porter, that is something you can do and have a lot of fun with by going to kabc.com, click on podcast, go to the Apple Podcast app, iHeart, Spotify, search for The John Phillips Show, hit subscribe, download all the episodes, do a Google on the YouTuber, get that handy-dandy KABC app, and transport yourself to a simpler time.
Paul! And Randy, we're on the move in the Bay Area.
We are moving our sister station KSFO from AM 560 to AM 810. It's a bigger, stronger signal, and it is signal you can hear right down here in Southern California at night. It comes in crystal clear. So you got your preset for 790 on position 1. Position 2, make it 810. And if you're driving around 11 o'clock at night, listen to the Fix California Hour.
Here with an update on the fires, Mr. Randy Wang.
Okay, this is very good news on the Archer fire, the one that sparked about an hour ago in Granada Hills. The evacuation orders have been downgraded to evacuation warnings, which means they've got a good handle on this. The evacuation warning area has been lifted, which was west of Tampa, south of Rinaldi, east of Balboa, and north at Sensen. So hopefully they're going to make sure that that one does not grow, because that one is nestled right in between two freeways, which could have been a disaster. But winds are a little lower today, so maybe we'll get a handle on everything.
When you got one of the 3 erroneous orders to evacuate last night from L.A. County, did you start packing up, or did you just assume that they're incompetent and ignore them? 800-222-5222, 1-800-222-5222. We're taking your calls at 800-222-5222, 1-800-222-5222. When you got one of those 3 text messages last night telling you to evacuate, did you take them seriously, or did you just assume that L.A. County has no clue what they're doing, which turned out to be the case? Let's go to Michelle in Northridge. Michelle, hello.
Hi. Yesterday when I got the alert on my phone, I sort of couldn't believe it. I went outside. I looked to the north, south, east, and west. I didn't see any smoke. My husband is currently at work in Sherman Oaks, closer to he can see because he's in a high building. And he looked out the window and said, no, nothing, so I disregarded it. I completely disregarded it. I have absolutely no confidence in the leadership right now. We lived through the Northridge earthquake, and everything was pretty much under control then. Richard Reardon was the mayor, and they were giving out water, and we had assurances. And now it seems like it's utter chaos.
It's complete chaos.
Yeah, I don't know what to believe. I'm literally getting more information from you guys on the radio than I am from anything else. I'm just incredulous. With the mayor yesterday and her ridiculous comments and the governor, I don't know what to do. I don't know if we should move right now or what, but it's just gotten terrible.
Well, thank you for the call. And Randy, she referenced the mayor and the mayor's just completely inept response to all of the chaos going on right now in Los Angeles. Let's listen to what she had to say at last night's press conference on the subject of people wanting her to resign from office.
Nope, I got to turn off the Jimmy Buffett first. Here we go.
And Mayor Bass, if I may just ask one more question. You just got back, and there's some national criticism that you've seen. You say we need to stand together.
Yes.
But there have been calls for your resignation. There's a change.org petition. What do you say to those criticisms coming at you?
Let me say, actually, first of all, let me finish on the firefighters, because
That wasn't the question.
No, she always does this. She's just as bad as Kamala at not answering questions.
and that is that while our firefighters are out there fighting fires, they also have had loss as well.
Yeah, we know that.
What a lot of people are in these neighborhoods, they're having to fight fires. And let me just say, because I answered some questions like that in the morning, and let me just state now. Number one, these fires.
She's banging that podium.
She really means what she's saying.
Number one, these fires are burning now. Our job is to make sure that people stay alive.
How you doing with that?
Wouldn't water in the reservoir be a good idea if you're trying to keep people alive?
How would she know if the reservoir was full or not? She was in Ghana.
That we save lives, that we save homes, that we
10,000 burned down on your watch, lady.
Not a good record.
that we save property. And I also said that when the fires are out, we will do a deep dive. We will look at what worked. We will look at what didn't work, and we will let you know. Until then, my focus.
I guarantee no one will be fired over this.
Oh, yeah, we'll let you know. Okay, I trust you.
Just like the false alert with the emergency alarm. We don't know what caused it. It wasn't human error.
My focus is on the TV screens behind you that are showing devastation that has continued. Thank you. Answered it in the morning, answered it now, won't answer it again.
Oh.
She's not happy.
No, apparently that was a real long flight from Africa back home.
Oh, you're so optimistic.
She's grumpy. Let's go to Gary in West L.A. Gary, hello.
Gary hung up.
All right, let's go to Ben in Beverly Hills.
No, I ignored it. I looked at the stuff I had to remove if I had to leave quickly, and then I changed my mind and realized the fire was 18 miles away. It would have to travel quite a distance. But I did keep my eyes on the television, and just realizing maybe that warning to the entire L.A. County to get out may have actually been a good recommendation. Maybe we all need to get out, because what we're seeing is incompetency all the way down the line, from the governor down to the of course the mayor. She seems like she's completely arrogant and unwilling to accept responsibility for things under her watch. No accountability whatsoever. And I asked ChatGPT, how do you change the Constitution? And it goes through all the things that you have to do. You have to get the voters to approve. You have to ratify it. But how hard can that be? You know, having to build your house in an environment where the state is fighting you every step of the way. It seems like 40 million Californians could get together and purge this corrupt, absolutely anti-citizen government. Between Laura in bed with the insurance companies and Gavin Newsom in love with himself, and you've got a mayor that's so unaware and clueless, I think it's more dangerous to have her in office than to have no mayor, or maybe have a drunk from Skid Row. I would certainly trust that type of leadership over what seems to be a self-serving, never-ending line of politicians whose only hope is to move up the political chain before they're termed out. There's no accountability or basis to judge their performance, because they all pat each other on the back. And when there is a failure, nobody will talk about it, especially the LA Times. We're living in a literal hell, a hell on earth. And what do we do about it? We keep electing the same idiots. Oh, yes, I want Laura to resign. I want Newsom to resign. I want Karen Bass to resign way back when she was our congresswoman and she ignored our letters. She's a failure. I don't know of anyone she helped as a congresswoman when she was in the state assembly, and now she's a pretend mayor, and we're all pretending that diversity always is successful. No, it isn't. And I think that a lot of losers take advantage of that, and they lust for power, and everybody around them uses them, even when they're burning up our homes. And it's like even Jerry Brown's sister's in on the game. Isn't she working for one of the utility companies that was bailed out after they burnt up Northern California? I am so sick of this. I want to get together and get a new constitution. The state is worth fighting for. How about it?
All right. Thank you for the call. I appreciate it. Randy, let's go back to that press conference and listen to Kevin McGowan with the official explanation as to why those erroneous text messages went out telling everyone in Los Angeles County to evacuate.
This is this morning.
We're aiming for conciseness. So we're going to start off with the LA County Director of the Office of Emergency Management, Kevin McGowan.
He got top billing before Bass.
Well, he had to explain some things.
Thank you, Helen. Hi, my name is Kevin McGowan. I'm the Director of the Office of Emergency Management for Los Angeles County. There is an extreme amount of frustration, anger, fear with regards to the erroneous messages.
I wonder why.
Yeah, it's almost as if people expected you to do your job, but you didn't.
That have been being sent out through the wireless emergency alert system across LA County. I can't express enough how sorry I am for this experience. First of all, I want to clarify, this is not human-driven.
Then how?
The first thing he does is say, don't blame me. It's my department. I'm the guy in charge. We're very sorry it happened, but it's not my fault.
Blame the robots? Blame the software? What the hell?
This is not human-driven. There is no one sitting at a desk right now initiating emergency alerts.
Shouldn't there be?
Remember when this happened in Hawaii, when they sent out the alert saying the North Koreans were attacking?
I do remember that.
And it was one guy, as it turns out. It was one guy that screwed it up.
So now we've gone from one guy to no guy.
Yeah.
How did this go out to 10 million people 3 times?
Oh, no, it's Bill Gates' fault.
I want to restate that. Right now, as these alerts are being issued, they are not being activated or initiated by a person.
So we don't know how this works?
Maybe it's Al Gore's fault since he created the internet.
This is my top priority. I am working all hands on deck with the Federal Emergency Management Agency's Integrated Public Alert and Warning Team. We have every technical specialist working to resolve this issue and to find the root cause.
It's not really a confidence builder when you don't know how it happened.
No, and we're in the home of Silicon Valley. That's a California invention. How is it that we have all of these people with all of this tech know-how and they can't stop the emergency management system from sending out false evacuation text messages in the middle of a fire?
We have a county that has no idea how the system works, and they're pushing out messages that could cost lives, that could cause panic, that could cause havoc.
I implore.
Here, by the way, is how we know he's lying. If this was just a computer glitch, if they were just sending out random messages that weren't supposed to be sent out, then why is it that they're all being sent out during a fire? Wouldn't you assume that if it's just randomly triggering evacuation orders, that it could be, over the summer, maybe Christmas Day, maybe middle of spring? No, it just all happens to occur during a fire.
And one of them was, our bad, we made a mistake. With the same loud beeping.
I implore everyone to not disable the messages on your phone.
You mean because we can't trust you anymore?
Oh, people are doing that right and left.
This is extremely frustrating, painful, and scary.
Just when you thought the response couldn't get any worse, now we get to comical territory, where they literally cannot send out the messages properly to tell people to evacuate. They meant to send it to a small section of the West Hills, Woodland Hills community, and went out to everyone everywhere in the county, 10 million people.
And thank you for your leadership.
But these alert tools have saved lives during this emergency.
So how do they work? Because it seems like you don't know.
No one in that office seems to know.
Not receiving an alert can be a consequence of life and death. As we continue to work on the root cause,
oh, God, he's doing that too?
I ask everyone.
How is this guy not fired today?
Because no one ever gets fired for being bad at their job. You're expected to be bad at your job. Expected to.
I ask everyone that gets an alert to verify if they are in an evacuation warning or order.
Okay, so the official line from county government, and Catherine Barger did rip him apart for this, is if you get an emergency alert, double check to make sure it's real.
Okay, I know this is going to sound redundant, but if you're in an area that's being evacuated, my guess is the power's out.
To go to alertla.org.
Got no internet, buddy.
lacounty.gov/emergency or dial 211 for assistance.
Got no reception.
Press 1 for English.
The mapping is accurate.
Then why aren't the emergency alerts accurate?
I know this clip is 2 minutes and 48 seconds. This feels like it's going on forever. Can you imagine what it must be like to be him and deliver these remarks in 2 minutes and 48 seconds? It's got to feel like an eternity up there.
On where evacuation warnings and orders exist. Again, this is my top priority. This is the top priority of my partners at the state and at FEMA with the public alert and warning tool to resolve this issue as quickly as possible and identify the root cause. Thank you.
It is not good that they don't know how it works and don't know how it happened. Well, at least that's what they're saying.
Thank you for your leadership, sir. Let's go to Anna in Encino. Anna, hello.
Hi, how are you?
Good.
Good. Well, let me tell you that, yes, I got the alert yesterday afternoon, and immediately I was suspect because I live very close to the Woodley Reservoir, and I had not heard anything about a resurgence of the fire after it had been contained and actually put out. I went outside into my backyard, no smoke, no wind, so I immediately ignored the alert. Common sense has got to tell you sometimes these computer things, I never really pay attention to them anymore. Most of the time, the information is erroneous, and you've got to be able to ascertain yourself what kind of information is being put out there. Otherwise, you'll go crazy. I don't have any confidence in the leadership of Los Angeles. I get angry. The fire in Woodley, in the reservoir, that has happened a number of times. And it was unfortunate that it happened when every place else is on fire. But the city knows the problem there. They know that it's the homeless that are starting fires in that area. This is not new information. This has been happening time and time again. The city goes in there. They try to clean them out. They clean out the homeless. And then within a month, they're all back there again with their tents, and it's just not a good thing. And it's unfortunate because people love going there. It's a great walking path. There's a great walking path. It's like 3 miles long. Takes you around the golf course and back up onto Balboa. It's unfortunate that people can't use it anymore because it's scary. It's actually scary.
Well, thank you so much for the call. I appreciate that, Anna. Being in Encino, you may have to go down to the Valley Inn and have a drink tonight. Come to think of it, that always sounds like a good idea.
Have to.
All right. We have 2 more hours coming up on the John Phillips Show. If you're on hold, stay there. We're going right back to the phones after the news. It is Jimmy Buffett Friday on Talk Radio 790 KABC.